Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our council meeting of June the 14th, 14th, yes. Thank you for joining us today. Before we begin our council meeting, I will continue to add our land acknowledgement wording. As a city of Winkler, we acknowledge that we are situated on Treaty 1 land, the home of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dani peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. We respect the treaties that have been made on these territories. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we dedicate ourselves to the future based on respect of all people, including the Indigenous communities, in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration, moving forward to a harmonious, prosperous future together. Be it resolved that the agenda of the regular council meeting of June the 14th, 2022 be adopted. Mover?
Henry Siemens.
Seconder?
Merman.
Thank you. Any additions to the agenda? Hearing none. All in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting of May the 24th, 2022 be adopted. Mover?
Confer.
Seconder?
Karina.
Thanks, Karina. Any errors or omissions to those minutes?
I did note the question regarding Martin's approval. Are you seeing that?
I popped a note in there. There's a couple of instances, Martin, where you're listed as a mover on an item, and I'm wondering if those instances should have been Marvin.
Yes, because I never move.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a mover and a shaker, but I'm not moving minutes. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Should have left the R and the T out, would have been no problem.
Yeah, just, yeah, could you make that
We
correction,
will update
please?
that. Yep.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sorry for
Okay,
taking your
no,
comment.
great, appreciate it. I didn't catch it either, so,
I only made the note this afternoon.
okay. Okay, I didn't look at it after. All right, so with that correction then, any other errors or notes? Hearing none, all in favor? And that is carried. We have a letter here from the Ministry of Economic Development, flood support letter. Minister of Municipal Relations is the first one. And any questions regarding that letter? Disaster assistance, we're very fortunate in this community that we haven't, I don't think we have applied, don't need to apply. We've been spared, so it's always better than applying for assistance, so.
Without a doubt.
It's good that it's there for those that need it, though.
Yep, absolutely. The next letter comes from, it's in regards to the economic development letter. I thought it was interesting. Henry and I shared a few notes in regards to that letter, but we can keep that between ourselves.
Fair enough.
But a good point there, I noticed that too.
Mhm.
I don't know whose responsibility it is to.
The province just sent
Update.
out an updated form to get all of the correct information from all
Okay.
municipalities. So
It'll
I'm
come.
assuming they'll correct this, but
Okay.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah,
So the province does communicate with the feds on that, or the opposition?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes its way back,
Okay.
back there, but this particular one, however, I think comes more from the PC
Correct.
Mm.
party itself.
Yeah.
So
So even
you're
in
right,
that-
maybe it won't filter its way back that way.
Even in that instance, though, I think it's probably important for them to
Yeah.
have this information to be able to update it.
Yep.
okay, appreciate it. Any other thoughts? Hearing none, carry on. Be it resolved, the accounts payable in the amount of 1.465 million, 029 and 15 cents as approved by the Finance Committee be approved for payment. Mover?
Henry Siemens.
Seconder?
Andrew?
Thanks, Andrew. Any questions regarding those payables?
There's a couple dance
Mm.
invoices. Is
So
it-
those are for
Arts Festival?
Yeah.
rentals at the concert hall.
Yeah.
And then We do the tickets for them, we get a percentage, and then the rest
And
goes
we
back
pay
to
the
them.
rest of it, yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's not technically an expense, there's offsetting income plus the rental, and so
Yep.
we just give them their net back.
yeah.
Makes sense.
All right, all in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved that the Winkler Fire Department report for May 2022 be received for information. Mover?
Michael?
Thanks, Michael. Seconder? Don, thank you. Any updates or comments you want to share?
No update outside of what's on the report. Our meeting's tomorrow morning, so if we have anything outside of the report, we'll have that from Richard
Next
tomorrow.
time.
Yeah, next
Okay.
time.
Right, thanks. All in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved that Transportation Utility Committee minutes for the May 11th, 2022 meeting be adopted. Mover?
Andrew?
Thank you. Seconder?
Marvin?
Any questions, concerns? Any comments? All in favor? And that is carried. Moving on to 10.1 subdivision, be it resolved that council approve subdivision 4463-22-8197. Mover?
Henry Siemens?
Seconder? And any further discussion regarding that subdivision application? Hearing none, all in favor? And that is carried. Next one, 10.2, be it resolved that council approves subdivision 4463-22-8203. Mover?
Henry Siemens?
Seconder? Any concerns, questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
I'll
Yeah,
keep my
that's
hand
carried.
down again.
You have to vote.
I know, I said I'll keep my hand down.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right, so noted. Moving on, be it resolved, Community Service Committee minutes for May 17th, 2022 meeting be adopted. Mover?
Oh, Andrew.
Community Services?
Yep, Andrew.
Okay, mover. Seconder?
Karina.
Karina, thank you. Any comments regarding those minutes?
Not much there, but seem to be rolling.
All in favor? And that's carried. Be it resolved that the Central Manitoba Tourism minutes for May 26th, 22 meeting be received as information. Mover?
Karina.
Mm-hmm.
You. Seconder?
I
I'll be
can
happy
help.
to help.
Thanks, team.
Marvin
Okay,
got it.
Marvin got it? Okay.
Marvin got it.
Any conversation regarding those minutes?
Nope, they are trucking. It's not an easy industry right now, but
No.
Mhm.
they are doing what they can.
All in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved that Pembina Valley Local Immigration Partnership minutes for April 28th meeting be received for information. Mover?
Karina.
Seconder?
Michael?
Any further comments regarding those minutes?
They're always looking for opportunity to partner with the communities that they're in. So I know the election piece is a piece that they're looking at with hosting like some sort of a Q&A like Central Station did last time. So we talked about that a little bit. So they're hoping to educate the newcomers in our communities on who can run, who can vote, what that all looks like, just to kind of offer them some information on that. And so I'm looking forward to seeing those details come through, but I'm
Good.
happy that we have that perspective being thought of as well for our region, not just one specific community, but
And especially reaching out to newcomers.
exactly, yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All in favor? That is carried. Be it resolved that Winkler Resource Committee minutes for May 24th be received for information. Mover?
Karina.
Seconder? Any conversation regarding that piece?
Massive thank you to Scott for attending and speaking on our transportation study that we have coming up, as well as just listening, actively listening to all the different not-for-profits and their needs for transportation. They are the ones closest to the ground, so it's nice that we were able to extend that opportunity for them to express their
Mhm.
concerns and yeah, they're very thankful for that.
He was happy to be there.
Yeah, thank you.
Super. All in favor? That's carried. Be it resolved, this meeting of council recess for the purpose of holding public hearings. Mover,
Marvin?
seconder?
Michael?
Thank you. All in favor? It's carried. Public hearing, Jody, I will give this one to you.
Okay, this first one was a continuation of public hearing from our last council meeting. And it was for a conditional use and variance application for a third dwelling unit and a short-term rental. Subsequent to that meeting, the applicant, Joshua Shetter, has withdrawn both of those applications. And there was, as you know from the last meeting, some objection from the neighbors, and because of that, he decided to withdraw. And so we had to still carry on with this public hearing and vote on the motions that were put in place.
Okay, so therefore, this public hearing, be it resolved, that public hearing for conditional use number CU 2022-004 and variation number VA 2022-20 be closed. Mover? Seconder?
Marvin?
All in favor? That's carried. Okay, as per procedure, we still have to deal with the approval or denial, regardless if it's been removed. And we always have these resolutions on the positive, so we will say, be it resolved, this council approve the conditional use number CU 2022-004. Can I have a mover?
Marvin?
Marvin?
I'll second it to put it on the table so
Okay.
that we can
Yep.
defeat it afterwards.
Well, that's the purpose. Thank you. All in favor? Oops, just, no,
No.
no, no.
All in favor of the,
All in favor of
Almost got us.
this approval? Any in favor?
No.
All opposed? There
Opposed,
we
but
go.
appreciate the willingness of
Yes.
Mr. Shetter to put his neighbors before himself.
Yep, absolutely. Tremendous example.
kudos to him.
Yep. All right, the motion is denied.
That was close.
Yeah, whoa. I caught the hands going up. We're into,
Mundane.
just a little,
Everything in the positive makes it tough sometimes.
Yep.
all right, next public hearing.
So we actually had two
That
motions
variation
there.
was
Or,
well.
sorry, yes, sorry.
2.3.
Yep, I got it right here. Be it resolved, the council approve the variation number VA 2022-20. Mover,
Henry Siemens?
seconder,
Don?
thank you. All,
Yep.
any in favor? I'll reword that. Opposed?
Oh,
Carried.
sorry.
Motion is defeated. Be it resolved, the public hearing for variation number VA 2022-22 be closed. Mover?
I think we did that.
Yeah, we,
Well,
yeah,
I clicked one not enough.
1, 2,
Okay.
3.
So now we're going on to,
Adjourn.
Yeah.
Be it resolved, the public hearing be adjourned and regular council meeting reconvene. Mover?
sorry, we have
Uh,
just,
13-3.
13.3.
13-3
I can introduce the next public hearing.
Yeah.
Okay, just a
There,
minute here.
there are some mistakes on your agenda.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Oh, is
Yeah,
it?
there
Yes.
are, 22-022 is back
Ah.
following the Turnstone Bay one.
Got it.
Okay. Lead me through this because mine is messed up.
Okay. Okay, so we're moving on to, the other one was mislabeled. This is the variation for 2022-022.
Okay,
Mhm.
Okay, that's what I've got on mine
okay.
here.
Yeah.
And that's, so this is at 10 Turnstone Bay. The applicant is Peter Penner on behalf of the owner Albert Reimer. The purpose of the application is to construct a 384 square foot accessory building to be used as a shop. And the variance required here is to reduce the side yard from 5 feet to 2 feet in the residential low-density R1 zone, and to increase the maximum allowable projection from 6 inches to 8.7 inches. And we have not received any objections to this application in our office.
Okay, anybody here objecting?
Can you define the projection again?
It'd be like, in this case, the overhang of the shed has, in the zoning bylaws, an amount that it can project towards the property line. So they're just asking for a slight variation on that.
So it's not that the wall of that accessory building is close to the neighbor's property, or that it would need like a firewall?
Correct. It's next to a fence line.
Okay.
And so, and one of the reasons for having restrictions on that is so that water doesn't shed off of these projections onto the neighbor's property. And in this case, our staff were satisfied that that would not be an issue. So
Okay.
that's the reason for the variance.
Okay. Council okay with that? Ready to close that public hearing? Be it resolved, public hearing variation for VA 2022-22, that's the right one now, be closed.
That's right.
Mover?
Karina. Mm.
Okay, Karina and Michael, thank you. All in favor? That's carried. Be it resolved that council approve variance number VA 2022-22. Mover?
Henry Siemens?
Seconder?
Don?
All in favor? That's carried. Be it resolved that public hearings be adjourned and regular council reconvene. Mover?
Michael?
Thank you. Seconder?
Karina.
Thank you. All in favor? That's carried. Well, we don't have Mr. Persina here, but we do have Mr. Wheeler here. So, Daryl, would you want to come make your reassessment impact presentation?
Old school. I like it. I like it. Thank you. We're old school.
Thank you, Daryl.
Thanks.
You're here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
This mic, too.
Yep.
Hello.
Yep, works.
Okay, I'm Daryl Wheeler from the assessment office in Morden, and send greetings from Oliver Persina. He had meetings in Winnipeg and couldn't be here tonight. And this week is my 21st anniversary of the assessment office, so time goes in a hurry, I think, hard to believe. So the assessment notices will be going out, and this is a sample notice. They really haven't changed much over the last while. The only thing I'd like to note is up top, there's a client number, it's called. And that is important as we get more and more going to an online system where people can get their own information, assessment, various things like that. That client number will be very useful. So that's just one of the things to look at on the notice. So we're not going to go through everything in this report. I'll let you look at that sort of at your leisure. But if we start out on page number 1, this report will give an opportunity to let the City of Winkler know the impact of reassessment 2023. For 2023, the assessed value of all properties will be updated to April 1st, 2021 from April 1st, 2018 market values. Property assessments were last updated in 2020, and this is actually a 3-year cycle. We are supposed to be in a 2-year cycle, but with the health situation in COVID, they added an extra year to try and analyze what was going on, and that was that. So in 2025 will be the next reassessment, and they'll go back to a 2-year cycle sort of going on from there on unless they change that legislation. So that's what's happened. The updated assessments will be used for the 2023 property taxes. This report will provide details on how taxable assessments have changed in the City of Winkler how reassessment 2023 will impact municipal and school taxes. Impacts in this report reflect reassessment 2023 modeling. Some assessment changes could still occur in Winkler that affect actual impacts. For example, we're still doing our maintenance, we call it. So right now, we're looking at basically last year's building permits. That's how we work it. So there could be still some new construction added to the assessment roll for next year, and then also on the supplementary tax for this year. So that we're still is ongoing, but really shouldn't change these projections that much in general. Objectives of reassessing property. Equity. All properties across the province are regularly reassessed to ensure assessments keep pace with changing market conditions. Fairness. Property taxes are paid according to the market value of property. Keeping assessments more current is one way to ensure everyone pays their fair share of taxes. Greater rate-paying understanding. Updating assessments makes it easier for property owners to understand and evaluate their assessments. On page 2, changes in assessment. The reassessment reflects how property values have changed since the last reassessment in 2020. This can be attributed to a combination of change to the supply and demand for real estate, new construction, improvements to existing properties. The province's taxable assessments has increased by 8.5 billion, or about 10%, to 96.4 billion. And for the city of Winkler, the taxable assessment has increased by 101 million, that's about 12%, to 975 million from 874 million. So the real meat and potatoes of this report is on this page 2 here. If you'll take a look at that chart, it shows the total there. The overall change in assessment is 11.5%. Single-family residential, 15.8%. And it's got various other classifications listed there. So that's basically what we're seeing. And just like to remind you that 2023 is when these numbers come out and will be used in the roll, but we're only using sales up to April 1st, 2021, and sales from April 1st, 2018 to 21. We use a median or middle value, so a realtor is going to say, what's the most recent sales and what can I get for it today? Whereas we're going on a little more historical data. So our new information comes out, and really on the residential side, the way the market has gone, it may temper a little bit, but the new numbers come out and the market is still going up. So just keep that in mind, we're more of a middle or median value on that, and it's up till April 1st, 2021, and the market at that time was really starting to get hot in this area in particular. So that's just something to keep in mind there from that side of things. So that chart, is various classifications, and that's on, again, I would say too, on averages. So a good quality house may have been going up more this time than lower end housing. Those are all things, not everything is exactly 11.5%. So, and the other big riser, I think there's no surprise, is land values. So that is what we look at first, and those continue to be very, very strong, both on the residential side and on the commercial end of things too. So I don't think that's a surprise to anyone as well. So briefly on page 3, impact of reassessment on 2023 property taxes. Assessment increases and decreases resulting from reassessment do not necessarily mean tax increases or decreases. Property assessments provides the basis for distributing taxes among property owners. And as you know, tax rates, mill rates set by council, school division, and the province. So the next few pages, there's tax modeling, and it deals with hypotheticals. If a budget stayed the same, what would happen? I'm going to let you look at that on your own. At our office, people call, they complain what their tax may be. We talk about the assessment. So tonight, I'm not going to talk about those modeling, but you can take a look at that again, as you'd like on the various charts that are on the next few pages there. In the meantime, though, if I could get you to turn to page number 6. Just because this is in this packet, I thought I'd just touch on this. Council's options to moderate impacts, very seldomly used, need provincial approval or regulation. One example that's happened over the years would be in one of the mining towns where the industry pulled out and they just crashed the market. They held the assessments for a while. You know, they just didn't let it go to zero for the market, those kind of things. So there was government intervention there. But, you know, really for the city of Winkler, these increases we're seeing, and really our whole district, we're not seeing anything dramatic really shifting one way or the other. And then on the middle of that, page 6, provincial property tax reduction, the education property tax rebate for 2022 owners of residential and farm properties will receive a 37.5% rebate of the school division special levy payable. This will increase to 50% in 2023. Residential properties include single dwelling units, condos, and multi-dwelling units. For 2022 and 2023, owners of other properties such as commercial, industrial, railway, institutional, pipelines, and designated recreation will receive a 10% rebate of the total of both school division levy and education support payable. Now, the topic of why that didn't come off the bills, we can do that another day, but I have nothing to do with that. But that is something we're hearing at a lot of our meetings that, you know, and then we're getting the questions of multiple owners. How's that working on these rebates and things like that? So, but if you're thinking that, you're not the only ones. Let me just
I guess
say
my
that.
question would be whether you have heard rumblings, let's say, at the upper levels of eventually once they've gotten to the maximum, whether they're considering that or not, but you may not even have heard anything.
Yeah, I would say, Marvin, I'm not sure, and I don't think, you know, Oliver either is aware of that, in all honesty, and what they're gonna do, I don't really know. But all I can say, in the past, it seemed quite straightforward to get that education rebate, but whether this is the same, I don't know. But yeah, okay.
It could be if they don't want to make it complicated, but they've made it very complicated.
Yeah,
Having bought and sold a few places over the last year, it's a nightmare.
yeah, yeah. No, and certainly, you know, from other councils and presentations, both I and Oliver and some of our staff and that, we're hearing that same thing for sure. And then on page 7, there's other credits and whatnot that are available. And then what I'd like to say is that, as I think I mentioned off the top, the assessment notices are going out for every property owner in the city of Winkler. So notices are one way that we're doing informing about reassessment 2023. Provincial website providing property assessments, maps, and other questions there. There's other online information. My Property Manitoba toll-free customer service line is also available. Municipal administrators, if Jody and the staff get any calls, they can refer them to us. I'd like to think we have an excellent working relationship with them. And the reason these notices are out now is that if there are any issues, we want and encourage people to phone us. A lot of it is an explanation of why these numbers have changed. And sometimes when you go through that explanation and the reference years, people realize it's a strong market. They're not always happy with it, but they understand it. And then if there are further issues, and we feel at our end a property needs an inspection, we'll do that. So all those things we want to be able to do before it becomes necessary in the fall for the appeals. And if needed, Winkler appeal deadline this year is October 31st, and the Winkler Board of Revision is November 15th. But we get calls all the time, and a lot of it, as I said, is just discussing it and going over and that kind of thing. So, and one of the advantages of a place like the city here is we generally have a lot of sales, whereas in some municipalities we don't have that. So that's one thing we can look at. But there can always be problems or things like that, and we want to work with the ratepayers and go from there. So that's what we're very open to, and we like to think that over the years we've become even more approachable for the general public. So, and that includes you guys. If you have any questions, just call our office. We'd be happy to help out. So,
One
think the
example,
biggest-
one example of that is, like, we have builders that will update your
Yeah.
office on where their progress is with building, and they'll copy us, and so all three parties are involved and informed, and I think that works really well.
yeah, and that sort of was a new relationship we were building. There's some others that have been developers for a long time that very familiar working with, and but it's good. And then just communication, they can tell us what lots are serviced, what aren't serviced, because until they're serviced, we do have what we call a development discount on some of the residential lots. And so as those become serviced, we can add them to the roll, and it makes it a lot nicer to adding them all and realizing they're not serviced, then you have to do a reduction on the tax roll and things like that. So it's just a better way if we can be up in front and work together, and, that's just an example that Jody has there, so, yeah.
I think the most noteworthy thing is if you take a look at the single-family residential, which would be the majority of our individual tax notices at least, the change is 15.8%. Some may be 25 and some may be 5.
Yep.
And I think that's the discrepancy that comes in when you have concerns or complaints on a reassessment.
Right.
For the city of Wicklow, it really doesn't make any difference, but for the individuals, you just take this 15.8%, seems high, but yet at the same time, there will be some that will be significantly higher,
Yeah.
and there'll be some that'll be lower.
Yeah, yeah, and you may notice, like, the land may have gone up a way higher percentage than that, right? And these are
Yeah.
just overall values. And as I said, it's not applied to every single house. We look at housing types, high-end housing, lower-end housing, and what we've seen is that the entry-level houses, the price of those that is what, the ceiling isn't, it's hard to say what that is, right? Everything is forced up in pricing, so, yeah. But you're right, and there could be something too, like, if there's a permit for a new garage on a property and we go there, we'll not only look at the garage, but has the rest of it, if it's an older home, been updated? And those all affect what we call an effective age. So if those have been added in, then the reassessment comes in. Now they have an even bigger number that they may not have been aware of. And so those are the things on the phone that we say updating, or property is sold. That's quite often, someone did a lot of work on it prior to selling it, then we verify all the sale information, and that's when, in some ways it may not be fair. It's the new person is paying a little more, but that sale has triggered an inspection, and so we are wanting to look at the sales, not only to see if they're a verifiable sale that we want to use in our analysis, but to get the characteristics and information correct as well, or more up to date at least. Yeah.
I guess the other danger is if your neighbor sells your house that's updated, you haven't updated yours, you get dragged into the updated values. to a
You
certain
get
extent.
just on the percentages though.
Right.
So otherwise, before, they never used to do as an aggressive an update, then it would look like everything had to go up higher. Whereas if first you get the characteristics or information right on the one that's sold, that might say the market is going up 10%, or if you would have left it, it would have said it should be 20. By that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's pros and cons to everything, but we're trying to look at it that way. And certainly, over the years, the permit system is so much better that, we're catching more and more than we used to years ago, kind of thing, so, yeah.
Appreciate it.
Okay, and if
Thanks,
there's
Earl.
any questions, forward them to Jody and he'll get a hold of us, or, and working with David or anyone here, so, okay?
Any
Appreciate
other
it very much.
questions from
Yeah, anything
Darryl?
else, or-
Okay. Well, thanks for doing the presentation.
Okay,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Okay, any questions of the media? You may want to tackle him or whatever. Okay.
Good call, Pam.
Yeah, but I'm not supposed to speak, that's a government policy.
Oh, you're not
Oh.
supposed to?
give you a contact and I can give you the tax report, but.
That's a good position to be
Look
in.
at that. And do you have any more jobs like that?
Yeah.
You need that.
Yeah, I can, yeah.
I wrote all over mine.
Okay, then we'll carry on. Be it resolved, this regular meeting of council be adjourned. Mover,
Michael?
Michael, seconder,
Don?
Don? All in favor? Carried. Otto.